Hello, everybody, and welcome to another week of Without Having Kicked a Ball. It's that time again where we delve into a football frenzy and dissect the top four divisions. Joining me tonight are the gruesome twosome. First, Will. Hello.
Hello, Ben. Yep, great to be back, and can't wait to get going.
Yes, thank you. Next up, Jordan. Hello.
Hello, I tell you what, the insults are piling up, aren't they? I've just had Will tell me my AirPods are shit before we started, and now I've been referred to as one of the gruesome twosomes. Bloody hell. I'm all right, mate. Let's get into another week.
Good stuff. So to start the show tonight, we're going to go down to the South Coast. Saturday night football, Bournemouth v Arsenal. Bournemouth pulling off a coup of a result with a 2-0 victory, sandwiched with a William Saliba red card. So I'll come to you first, Will, because I know you wanted to talk about this one. So give me your thoughts.
Well, Arsenal do have to seem a red card problem, don't they? And it happened again. William Saliba, as you said, getting sent off, and I do think they do seem to have a discipline problem. And I can't think of many games where, up until something like 70 minutes, it was all square, and then so late on to collapse to have a 2-0 win. So, I thought that was pretty extraordinary. But, Arsenal missed a chance to go up top, well, at least on a temporary basis on the Saturday. And, they blew it. But, time will tell whether Arsenal can pick themselves up and go over again.
Yeah, and I think that's a good point you raise about the red cards, because I was watching Monday Night Football last night, and since Mikel Arteta has been appointed, out of the top six sides, I think Arsenal have the most red cards by a considerable distance. I think it was 17. So you raise a good point there. And what about you, Jordan? Anything more to add?
I think that it's worth mentioning that it's definitely a red card for Saliba. I think VAR very quick and effective in making that decision. But I don't really. I suppose everybody on the pitch would have made a difference, but I really don't feel like Arsenal were that much at the races in this game anyway. They never really grew into it, and sometimes the top teams can be like that. But we've seen, one of the things that I've enjoyed about Arsenal this season is they are all action all the time, or it does kind of seem like that. So it's disappointing for them for sure. But what a great result from Bournemouth, and that Ryan Christie goal, by the way, the well-worked set piece.
Clever corner routine, brilliant, wasn't it?
Yeah, unbelievable. What did it do in terms of the title race? There was so little room to manoeuvre for them the big three, that I think it already puts a massive dent in things. But
yes.
One thing I would say is I think that Arsenal have always been way more open to that kind of shock defeat than a City or a Liverpool.
Mm-hmm.
And that's not anything to do with style of play. I just don't think they turned up on the day, irregardless of 11 or 10 men.
Yeah, and sometimes that can happen, can't it? You raise a good point about the title race and margin for error, because we've seen the standards teams have set now.
Although, having said that, sorry to interrupt, Ben, but I saw that statistic that when Leicester City won the Premier League in the 2015 to 16 season, they were one of the teams with the most red cards, and yet they went on to win the league. So,
yeah, well, perhaps if you look at it like that, it could be a good omen. But I
I
think,
think well, I'll go ahead and dispel that straight away by saying that 15-16 Barclays is way different to the iteration of the Premier League we've got at the minute, and yeah, with the way that teams are now, a team like Bournemouth, whether or not they're the big team or the little team, they're not going to sit off an attack, and Arsenal also aren't really going to adapt the way they play, which means that both teams are more open to concessions. So,
yeah, and that's what I was going to say, Jordan. I was going to say the quality of the league has gone up. As a kid growing up watching football, people used to say, the Premier League is unpredictable. Anyone can beat anyone. And I think that's true now more than ever, if I'm honest. But the last thing I'll say on this game is it certainly makes next week's fixture for Arsenal when they play at home to Liverpool. It certainly makes that almost like a all or nothing game for them, really.
that's
And I
going to
know
be a
it's
massive game.
absolutely, it's huge. It's huge.
yes, and again, it's talking about margin for error. So yeah, definitely going to be an interesting watch. I look forward to it. Moving on now to Super Sunday, actually. Speaking of Liverpool, it was Liverpool v Chelsea. Liverpool coming away victorious with a 2-1 win. A big statement win for them. So I'll come to you first this time. George, being a Chelsea fan, give me your thoughts.
Yeah, not deserved win. Both teams relatively even. I just think that Chelsea were kamikaze defensively.
Yeah,
The error for the penalty for Colwill, well, it's to be honest, it's one of the clearest penalty decisions I've seen in a while because it's very obvious that he just clips the heel of I think it was Jota, and then that's the penalty. Obviously stuck away by Mo Salah, who loves a goal against Chelsea. And then Chelsea get themselves back into it thanks to Nicholas Jackson. There is a penalty shout in the middle of that, by the way. Sanchez clatters, was it Curtis Jones?
yes, it was, yeah.
Yeah. And that wasn't given. And then obviously in the end it was Curtis Jones who got the second goal. Massive in the title race, like you said. Even bigger with Arsenal losing and Liverpool winning. For Chelsea, it's more of that kind of positive signs that I'll continue to say. But defensively, for me, has always been an issue. Even when we've looked good going forward, we look pretty shaky at the back. And that's not changed yet. And I think that's the kind of thing that's really difficult to drill into a team that also is full of so much attacking talent.
Yeah,
Now, that being said, I don't feel like a game against a City or a Liverpool or whatever is the kind of game to say, oh, Chelsea are awful, this was awful, blah, blah, blah. Because one, we weren't. Two, defensively, we've been shaky all the time. But three, that Liverpool team, that City team, for instance, maybe even Arsenal, who we've also got coming up in a couple of weeks, they're all going to make some of them are going to make even the best defenders look pretty poor. So I don't think it's a good. I think it's more of a opportunity to say Chelsea are going in the right direction and say Chelsea are this, that, and the other. That being said, you never want to lose a game like that. But Anfield's a tough place to go, innit?
Yeah, it is, and
It is,
you
yeah.
make good points there. I think I watched the game, obviously. I thought for the most part, of like the first half of the first half, I thought Chelsea were the best team. And as you said, some positive signs. But for Chelsea, in my head anyway, I go back to the old adage of attack wins your games, defense win your titles. And when you kept that clean sheet record, you had a formidable figure in Petr Cech, and I just think you need a
Goalkeeper, wasn't he?
you need a keeper because Sanchez is a bag of nerves. Yes, he's had good
He's
moments.
awful. He is awful.
He's had some good moments, but on the whole, he's been
Kepa wasn't
atrocious.
that great either, to be honest.
No,
But you know what's funny, Will? Do you know what's funny, Will? Sorry to just interrupt, just to finish on what Will just said. I think Kepa has been really good for Bournemouth.
Yeah, although he did make a mistake, didn't he, in the Arsenal v Bournemouth game? But, well, and Raya, they both had some
Kept a clean
tricky
sheet though.
moments. Well, what I meant was he nearly had a moment that could have been tricky. Yeah, but
anyway, on that note, Will, I've said my bit, so I'll come to you now.
Well, I think this was always going to be an interesting one, wasn't it? Chelsea beat Liverpool. Obviously, both teams are in a transition phase. Arne Slot, replacing Jurgen Klopp, and Enzo Maresca replacing. Forgive me, boys. Who did he replace? Pochettino. Yes, sorry. Thank you. So yeah, this is an interesting one, and I wasn't sure which way to call this because even though Liverpool have had some good results, Chelsea picked up recently, so this was a tough one. But yeah, obviously, I think Liverpool have shown that maybe they could be title contenders. But I think time will tell.
I think it's certainly introducing the game. I said a statement win, and I think it's that.
Yeah.
It could possibly put them in the hat for the title, and I think for me personally, they need to win 2 or 3 more of those types of games to be considered title contenders probably, but it's certainly good signs for them. And
yes.
I think I said a couple of weeks ago, putting my United bias aside for a second, fair play to them because I had them having a David Moyes type season when he was at United.
Yeah.
But it's just been so smooth sailing from.
Slot has just picked up where Klopp left off, really.
Yeah, and if you pardon the pun, he's slotted in.
Yeah.
The fair play to them. Right.
I think it's because the tactical changes he's made are very subtle.
Yes.
So they're pretty
and he's kept a lot of the same players, hasn't he?
Yeah, cohesion and chemistry. Good for that. But yeah, now we will move back to Saturday, and it was, I know it's early in the season, but for me it was already a 6-pointer, and that was Southampton v Leicester. And for Southampton, it was agonising for them, obviously, winning and then losing in the manner which they did. To lose 3-2 can have a real psychological impact. So, give me your thoughts first, George.
Okay, my thoughts first. Right, so I'm going to start with the third goal, which is the one that loses Southampton the game. So, against United, we talked about how there was a goal that was scored where they didn't have anybody on the edge of the box that allowed the ball in for Bruno Fernandes to pass to De Ligt. And then from, I think, the very next United corner, they didn't leave a man. It was passed to Rashford. He scored, right?
Yeah.
So you would think, in terms of game state, in terms of seeing those weaknesses from set pieces, that they would not let something like that happen again. Now, 2-2, 98th minute, Leicester corner. Ayew on his own, edge of the box. Pass down to Ayew, edge of the box, hits it, goes in. So, my question there is, and I think that Southampton have the best playing style when it clicks of any of the three promoted teams. But every single time we talk about them, it's played so well, but they made a mistake. Played so well, but they made a mistake. What are they doing to rectify these issues? Things like playing the insistence on playing out for the back, which gets them in trouble all the time. Things like not closing down on set pieces when people are going to pinpoint that. Absolutely, because they continuously concede from those scenarios. It's just a little bit baffling for me. That being said, a great game, really end-to-end for both teams. Leicester have played well in games and not got much for it. Abdul Fatawu, who came on as a substitute, is a baller.
What a live wire he is.
He completely changed the game. Hit the bar, obviously put the cross in that was then blocked out for the corner. Just like you said, an absolute spark of electricity, isn't he?
Yes.
And hopefully he'll be starting games soon.
Yeah, I think for me, from a Southampton point of view, you hit the nail on the head there. And I know it's only October, nearly November, and I could be proven wrong here, but introducing the game, I said a 6-pointer. The way in which Southampton lost the game, for me, that's got to be really, really psychologically damaging. And to be fair, having been
psychologically damaging, sorry to interrupt you, then being beaten 9-0.
Yes, that's a different season. Obviously, it's got the same.
Yeah, I know, but I just wanted to compare the two. What's more psychologically damaging?
Well, and it was against Leicester,
I should think that's obvious.
Yeah, but I'll get
it's
back
not
to
so
that.
Because getting thrashed 9-0 would not be good really for.
I tell you what, Will. I'll ask you that in a second when I come to you.
Okay.
Just let me finish my point.
Sorry.
But yeah, I think the way in which Southampton lost that game, having been 2-0 up, could be bold to say this, but I'm gonna make a prediction and say that they're relegated. I could be wrong, and I might look back and think, why did I say that? I just have a feeling. And you make a good point, George, about the style of play and stuff like that. On the eye, it's very easy, but it's very naive and stubborn for me, not having a plan B or plan C, because
just playing one style. Then if it doesn't get you anywhere, then you're gonna have the same results every time.
But to tell you, he has always been like that. MK Dons when he went through, because the one thing about Russell Martin, right, and this is why what happened last season was so good, is he sticks to that style of play, and it works for a bit, and then sometimes it doesn't, and then it works for a bit, and then sometimes it doesn't. At MK Dons, it was the same. At Swansea, it was the same. At Southampton, it was the same. If you remember, last season, they absolutely stormed in front at the top of the table, and then lost and drew a load of games all in a row, which dropped them into the playoffs. So he's the one thing about Russell Martin, excellent coach, I feel, but you've got to switch it up sometimes when it's not going well.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with that.
And the likes of Luton did that last season. So if Southampton could follow suit and change it up a bit, then maybe it will give their hopes of survival a bit more of a chance. But it doesn't look good from a Southampton point of view. Valuable 3 points for Leicester. But anyway, Will, I'll come to you now, and I'll start by saying I'll flip the question to you and say, what do you think is more damaging, the 9-0 or losing in that manner, the way in which they were 2-0 up? I know it's different seasons, but you wanted to ask that question, so I'll flip it to you and ask it to you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, obviously, conceding 9 goals is very damaging and very embarrassing. So I would probably argue that's more embarrassing. Well, I don't know. I think they're both not great. I mean, losing if you're leading 2-0 and then go on to lose 3-2, then yes, that's not great. But I think, in my view, conceding 9 goals is probably worse.
Yeah, it's a subjective topic of conversation, I guess. But definitely be interesting to see how Southampton's character is tested now, because it's a real damaging way to lose a game of football.
I think as well, just one last thing on this game for me personally.
Oh, actually, I just want to say I also agree with you, Ben. I think if Southampton don't start winning soon, then they're going to be relegated, because they have to get a win soon, and this game was a must-win for them, and they blew it.
I do agree, but I do want to say, as a point for Leicester and Southampton and the rest of that, I think bottom 4, bottom 5, the teams at the bottom are all pretty poor so far. So it's not going to take a lot for any team to pull themselves away or get out of it right at this current moment. So, for now and for probably the next few weeks, that's given Leicester loads of breathing room. But for Southampton, it's the net's closing in a little bit.
And again, as we do every year for the promoted teams, I think it's worth mentioning that the golfing class between the Championship and the Premier League is a massive step up.
Although, for example, some teams, like Sheffield United, when they were first back in the Premier League, proved that they could cope with it, and so
Yeah, don't get me wrong, it can happen. I just feel like now, with the money that's in football and everything, it's getting harder and harder to adapt to the golfing class. But anyway, we'll go over to you, Will, for your segments for the results.
yes, thank you, Ben. Right, so here is the rest of the Premier League results. So we start with Saturday, the 19th of October, and Ipswich Town 0, Everton 2. So Ipswich Town were another team, of course, that were promoted from the Championship. So for Everton, it was Ndiaye. Have I pronounced that name right?
Enjoy.
Ndiaye. Right, sorry. Right, okay. Ndiaye in the 17th minute. And Michael Keane in the 40th minute.
What a finish from Michael Keane, by the way. Sorry, Will.
Yeah, and the Jai's goal was pretty good.
Yeah, it was.
Assisted by Dwight McNeil in the 40th minute. Right, okay. Then we move on to Newcastle United 0, Brighton and Hove Albion 1. Let me just... Sorry, it's just failing to load. There we go. Right, we got it. Danny Welbeck in the 35th minute, assisted by Rutter. Is it Gerard Rutter?
Jorginho
Rutter. Right.
Oh, Rutter, yeah, whichever.
Or is it Rutter?
Whichever.
Okay,
Doesn't...
right.
Rutter.
Oh, right, yeah. Rutter in the 35th minute. Yeah, assisting Danny Welbeck. Right. So we move on to Manchester United 2, Brentford 1, and
Done the boys.
in the 45th minute, assisted by Marcus Rashford. Then Højlund in the 62nd minute, assisted by Bruno Fernandes. Pinnock for Brentford got the first goal in the 46th minute, and assisted by Damsgaard. Okay, we move on to Fulham 1, Aston Villa 3. What a game, of course. There was a red card. Josip Anderson in the 64th minute got sent off. Raul Jimenez for Fulham in the 5th minute, assisted by Bernd Leno. Then Aston Villa, Morgan Rogers in the 9th minute, assisted by Jacob Ramsey. Ollie Watkins in the 59th minute, assisted by Yuri Tillemans. And Issa Diop in the 69th minute. Oh, he had an own goal. And yes, so that's that one done. Okay, now we move on to Sunday's games. And sorry, I just click. Yes, we're back on the right track. So just okay. Anyway, and Sunday the 20th of October. So Wolverhampton Wanderers 1, Manchester City 2, and Strand Larsen in the 7th minute, assisted by Nelson Semedo. Then for City, is it Guardiol, sorry, right, in the 33rd minute, assisted by Jeremy Doku. And then John Stones in the 95th minute, assisted by Phil Foden. And I've missed going back to Saturday's game. Sorry, we are leapfrogging a bit. Tottenham Hotspur 4, West Ham United 1. Is it Kulusevski? Kulusevski, right, okay. In the 36th minute, assisted by James Maddison. Yves Bissouma in the 52nd minute, assisted by Udogie. Oh, Udogie, right, sorry. Then Song Heung-min in the 60th minute, assisted by Pape Sarr. And then for West Ham United, Mohamed Kudus in the 18th minute. And as well as getting a goal, he was sent off in the 86th minute.
Right. Absolute madness from Kudus, by the way.
Yes,
madness.
Absolutely. And that is your results.
Thank you.
Right, yeah, so there we go. There is all of your Premier League results. Just a couple of things, I suppose, we need to talk about. As Ben did mention, 2 fantastic finishes at Everton, Ipswich, and Keane. Same as I said, I do think they're that kind of... The bottom clasp of teams is so poor that I'm not saying so poor, but, they're taking the time to get going, aren't they? So, you need to make the most of those moments.
Mind you, Joe, just coming in there, I know statistically Wolves have had the toughest running, but they're still winless, as are Palace. So they're 2 teams that are thrown into the mix as well.
Yeah. So yeah, I think that we're in a position where just all points right now, while it's taking teams time to wake up, it's so invaluable. Mohamed Kudus with perhaps the stupidest thing I've ever seen a footballer do in 2024.
Yeah, I'd agree. Absolute ridiculous.
It's just, I just don't get it. From that kind of theme of where are West Ham? They were okay to start with, and then pretty terrible. And yeah, other than that, I suppose it'd be remiss of us to not mention the quote-unquote controversy of Brentford scoring while Matthias de Ligt was off getting treatment. But my view of that is that happens in almost every game, and if they hadn't have scored from it, nothing would have been said about it. No, obviously, Ben, you were at the game, so I don't know whether you've got anything that you want to add particularly.
Well, yeah, I'd actually agree with you there, Joe. And as I said to you off air, people around me were ranting and raving. And I said, 1, it was our fault anyway, because it came from our throw-in. And 2, you've got to defend it better, regardless of if de Ligt is off the pitch or not. We have to defend it better. That being said, the comeback was good.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it's still took Man United to be 1-0 down to kind of get into gear. It was pretty open up until the point of the Pinnock goal, and then obviously half time, and then Man United came out and just that were much more dominant. I sort of said to you off air, was it maybe Ten Hag kind of saying, look, this is the last throw of the dice for me, like we need to work this out. I'm not sure. We'll never know. We'll never know because we're not privy to those kind of conversations. Anyway, anything else anybody wants to mention, or
no? I think that's all the Premier League covered for me.
No, I don't think so. Yeah, straight off to the EFL.
Yeah. Okay. So we're going to start in a bit of a weird place, but such is the way that the EFL schedule is nowadays. We're going to start
Thursday night, are we?
Yeah, we are. Thursday night in League One. Shrewsbury and Exeter faced off. 2 teams in different form. Shrewsbury, pretty terrible. Exeter doing very well so far and in the playoff places. I am going to talk about this one a little bit just because it was on TV and I actually got to see both teams.
Joe Whitworth was pretty good, I thought.
Well, let me give you a stat. Supposedly, this is notwithstanding the midweek games that are going on as we speak, he has saved every single of the last 20 shots on target he's faced,
Bloody hell.
which
He's
is
on loan
unbelievable.
Yeah, that is what a stat. He's
Wow,
on
that
loan
is a great stat.
He's on loan from Palace, isn't he?
Yeah. The goals came from Kamari Doyle, who dispossessed the Shrewsbury defender because they were kind of dawdling in defence to score. And then the second goal from the veteran, Josh McGuinness. One of the things that I like a lot about Exeter's team is you've got a lot of young lads, and you know their academy system is really well known for producing talent. But you've also got in this current team quite a lot of experience. I'm talking about guys like McGuinness, guys like Ryan Woods. So yeah, a good win for Exeter, which keeps them in a good position. Right. Okay. Moving on to Friday night. First of all, in the Championship, Leeds United faced Sheffield United, who are the only team in the EFL not to have been beaten up until this point, of course. Pascal Stroke with the first one for Leeds before Matteo Joseph, who I think is class, got the second goal in the 90th minute, which breaks the unbeaten run of Sheffield United. Really interesting game, this.
Yeah, I watched this game.
Yeah. Do you want to give me some thoughts?
Yeah, I just think for Leeds, the machine rose on, really. They started slow, but now they've picked up the pace, and I think they'll definitely be in and around automatics, and if not automatics, definitely the playoffs. For Sheffield United, I thought they were decent, and then just became a bit underwhelming. I was expecting a bit more, but Ellen Road is a tough place to go, but we've seen their mental fortitude, so I expect they'll bounce back.
Yeah, no, I think that they will be okay, Sheffield United. I think it was just a clash between two of the top teams in the Championship. And one thing that we have seen from Daniel Farke's Leeds is in league situations, when he comes up against teams in and around him, Leeds tend to get the better. It's only in the sort of the one-off games where they struggle against teams around them. Moving on to the other Friday night game. In League Two, Newport County welcomed Chesterfield. And a fairly routine away win for Chesterfield, one for Dylan Markande. And stop me if you've heard this one before. Will Grigg, 2 goals in 3 minutes. Will Grigg's on fire? Maybe. Very 2016 of me. But yeah, good win for Chesterfield there. Right, okay, moving on to Saturday's action and starting in the Championship. The Wayne Rooney Plymouth Revolution came to a grinding halt, a 5-0 defeat from Cardiff.
Who were bottom at the time.
Yeah.
Don't know if they still are.
Yeah.
Absolutely put them to the swords, didn't they?
Not sure. I'd have to look at obviously we've got games in play at the minute, and I think as things stand in midweek, Cardiff are winning.
Sorry, can I just say, I mean, it's been a bit bizarre, isn't it, for Plymouth? You know, didn't start so well, then started to pick up again, and then they've sort of slipped back down again. It's been a bit bizarre.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and get into the goal scorers. Alex Robertson, Ruben Colwill, Ahmed Aghazi, used to play for Aston Villa, remember him? Callum Robinson and Chris Willock, with Ibrahima Sissoko sent off for Plymouth Argyle. Really like what they're doing under Omar Reeds at Cardiff, I'll be honest. Still a lot of talk about Ruben Selles, the Reading manager. but we will cross that bridge when
Just
we
talking
come
about
to
the
it.
tables, sorry, Joe. I've just looked and Cardiff have actually leapfrogged Plymouth. So Plymouth are 21st and Cardiff are 20th on the same points. And granted, Plymouth have a game in hand when they play tomorrow. I think they play Millwall away. So it's going to be interesting. But yeah, as Will said, they've sort of faded again, Plymouth.
Yeah, and look, they haven't got one of the strongest squads, despite having one of the best players in the league in Morgan Whittaker. So that sort of thing is bound to happen. Now, there was a derby which can get pretty spicy as well. Luton welcomed Watford to the Kenny and put them to the sword thanks to goals from Jordan Clark, Carlton Morris, and Jacob Brown. Huge result for Luton. Again, I think they'd picked up a couple of victories, lost a few, played poorly in a few games again, and then they've just picked up this massive victory, which should do them the world of good. And we'll see where that goes.
Nothing like winning
Oxford
a derby for
rescued
confidence.
a point from the jaws of defeat in the 92nd minute, thanks to Tottenham loanee Dane Scarlett, a 1-1 draw with West Brom. Carlin Grant scoring the first goal for the Baggies. Preston continued to pile the misery on Coventry. Emil Rees with the only goal there. Blackburn got back to winning ways thanks to a goal from Tyrese Dolan. Now, this is something that I'm not necessarily sure how to cover. And there's a couple of instances of it, so I'll get them out now. During the week, it was announced that Liam Manning's son Theo had passed away, and that he is taking some time away from the club to obviously grieve. And we, of course, give our condolences to the family, to the club itself as well, because I'm sure he will have had a lot to do with that, and the players, because I'm sure that they will have been affected too. The other instance I want to mention is in League One / League Two as well. Steve Bruce was not present at Blackpool's game because his grandchild had sadly passed away, which also, we of course give our condolences and thoughts to the family. That also affected Salford's game against Crewe, where assistant manager Alex Bruce was not present, because that is of course is relative as well. Ryan Giggs in the dugout for that one instead. So, and of course, as well, plenty of tributes to George Baldock, MK Dons at Oxford, etc., etc. Now, of course, horrific circumstances, and we won't dwell on them too much. But one thing that I do want to say is I want to praise the spirit of the Bristol City team. They got the victory away at Middlesbrough. Tough place to go, of course. Goals from Anis Mehmeti and Hirikawa, the Japanese international. A fantastic away win, and feel like that was definitely for the Manning family. Millwall and Derby, drew 1-1. Jerry Yates got his first goal for the club before 19-year-old record signing Ivanovic got his first. It was a first win of the championship season for Portsmouth away at fellow strugglers QPR. QPR took the lead thanks to Karamoko Dembele before goals from Freddie Potts and then a Callum Lang penalty. There was also new leaders at the top of the championship. Burnley went away to Sheffield Wednesday and got the 2-0 victory thanks to goals from Jaden Anthony and Josh Brownhill. And there was the final game a draw with 2 goals in 6 minutes. The first one from Chernak for Norwich before a equaliser from Million Manhoff in the 51st minute, so the 6th minute of added time in the first half. We'll just
talking about Norwich. Sorry, George. In the next couple of days, it's been made aware that Jack Wilshere will complete his coaching move there, where he will leave Arsenal and take up a first team coach role.
Yeah, I like that. I like that because a lot of what he's done with Arsenal's under-18s is really good. So I think it's time for him. I think it's probably part of his start to move towards management. So we'll keep an eye on that one.
It's definitely a good fit for him, especially because Norwich are doing decently. So, yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I did mention that we had new leaders at the top of the championship. That didn't last for long. Sunderland got the victory against Hull. Wilson Ishidor seeming to start to find his shooting boots and consistently score goals. That was the Sunday game. Now, into League One we go. The continuation of the Reading doing really well despite the club being a shambles, and the Crawley not doing so well under Rob Elliott carried on here at the Madstad, the Medeski, of course. Reading beaten Crawley 4-1 thanks to goals from Bengwe, then cancelled out by Harry Forster. Then a absolute howitzer from 35 yards from Lewis Wing. I don't know whether you saw that one. If you didn't, you need to go and look it up because it is it's just one of the most pure strikes you've ever seen. Then Charlie Savage scored in the 65th minute and Sam Smith for the 4th goal. Now, last week, I mentioned Wickham and how well they'd been doing and keep an eye on them. And that proved to be true. They came from a goal down against Peterborough. Ricky J. Jones with the opener. And then a Richard Kone hat-trick in 9 minutes. 3 in 9 for Kone. 63, 67 and 72. Brought that one all the way back to a Wickham victory, which, again, Matt Bloomfield just doing such great things there. It is worth mentioning that Peterborough did have the young defender Manny Fernandez sent off. Now, as we mentioned, heartbreaking for Blackpool, the news that's come out. They weren't able to get the victory. They were beaten by Barnsley 2-1. The goals from Keylor Dunn, then an equaliser from Ollie Casey, before Mark Roberts popped up with the victory, with the winning goal for the victory for Barnsley. Bolton got back on track with a 2-1 win over Burton Albion. All 3 goals in this game scored within 5 minutes of each other. Aaron Collins in the 61st, Randall Williams in the 63rd, and then Danilo Orsi in the 66th. First win of the season for Cambridge United, thanks to a goal from Elias Kachunga and then a Sam Tickle own goal. Huge result for Cambridge. There was a draw between Charlton and Stockport. Louis Barry opened the scoring in the 12th minute with a penalty. Then Romani Edmonds-Green got the equaliser in the 66th minute, before Fraser Horsfall also being sent off for 2 yellows in the 87th. A return to form for Huddersfield thanks to a 3-1 win over inconsistent Bristol Rovers. Matthew Pearson, Callum Marshall, and then Radojevic for Huddersfield before Isaac Hutchinson got the consolation goal. It looked like it might be a great day for Lincoln against Birmingham when they scored within the first minute, thanks to Bailey Cadamartri, son of Danny. However, Birmingham turned it round pretty spectacularly, thanks to 2 goals from Keshi Anderson and then another goal from Willem Williamson. Shock of the week in League One came at the One Call Stadium, or Field Mill as it's called, without the sponsors. Mansfield's ground. Jake Young with an unbelievable free kick for Stevenage to shock the League One High Flyers. Cameron McGeehan scored the only goal of the game against for Northampton against Leyton Orient, and Paul Mullin scored within a minute his first goal of the season to get the away victory against Rotherham. Into League Two, and Accrington Stanley have got a very, very vital 3 points just recently. They followed it up with another 3 points and a shock victory at home to Barrow. The goal scored by Sean Wally. Gillingham's poor form continues. They were 1-0 up on Bradford before Neil Byrne and an unbelievable Jack Shepherd volley got them the victory. 2 goals in 5 minutes was enough to win the game for Tranmere against Bromley. Goals from Amari Patrick and Harvey Saunders, with a consolation from Louis Dennis in the 96th for Bromley. A draw between Carlisle and Harrogate. The opener scored by Harrogate's Matty Daly, with the equaliser scored by the Harrogate old boy Luke Armstrong. Colchester and Cheltenham met in a battle of teams that have not been so great so far in League Two. Jordan Thomas opened the scoring for Cheltenham in the 5th minute and also scored in the 47th, with a Lyle Taylor goal sandwiched in between that. Crewe and Salford faced off at Gresty Road. I was there. Lots of thoughts. Mainly that Sonny Singh Gill, a referee you may know for being the first Asian or South Asian referee, had an absolute shocker, and a very clear offside goal was given for Ben Woodburn for Salford after 12 minutes. Luckily enough, 14 minutes later, the absolute hero that is Ryan Cooney, who has never scored a league goal before in his career, got on the end of a absolutely delicious Zach Williams cross, who sort of plays this weird kind of left back, left wing back role and pushes up to sort of be like a winger when the long ball comes from the goalkeeper. It's hard to explain without you actually seeing it, but basically, ball comes from a goal kick, and Philip Marshall will deliver the ball, and Williams will move right to where the other striker is, who's usually somebody like Tebow or Bogle, one of those, and he then kind of flicks the ball on. But anyway, that's not what he did for this goal. He just delivered an absolute peach of a cross, which was headed in by Cooney, and he was nice enough to stop and have a picture with my younger brother, which I always appreciate. Also got one with the captain, Mickey Demetriou, who I've met before and is a great guy. But yeah, points dropped for us for sure. It's a good point for Salford. Ryan Giggs, as I said, took the place of Alex Bruce on the touchline, which was a rather odd one. I don't really like how Salford kind of include their owners in stuff that they probably shouldn't be involved in. But there you go. To be honest, it's one of those games.
Okay,
the
to
game
be
was
fair though, he was deputising, but wasn't he? So
no, it was. But they've got other coaches.
oh, okay. Well, yes, that is true.
You know, I'm sure, by the way, that it wasn't for any kind of fanfare because it wasn't even announced or anything that he was going to be the man on the touchline. I just, for me, it's not something that I would do, but I am not them, so there's not that much I can say. Yeah, the game was a mess. I haven't got too many thoughts. We probably should have won it at the end. An unbelievable save, or a couple of great saves from their goalkeeper. First from Omar Bogle, who came back from injury, and also from Kenny Lunt, who it's his nephew, Owen Lunt, who forced the keeper into an unbelievable save. So yeah, a point, definitely a game we should have won, and one that we need to win to keep up with the playoffs. But what can you do? A team that I'm pretty sure I mentioned last week, not too sure. I almost certainly did, but I'm just going to say that I'm not too sure just in case. Walsall, they travelled to Blundell Park, which is the home of Grimsby Town, and won 4-1. Goals from Jamil Matt, an absolute unbelievable goal. Think Robin Van Persie versus Charlton, scissor volley from Jamie Jellis. The impressive Stoke loanee Nathan Lowe, and also DJ Danny Johnson, not the Preston one, got the goals for Walsall. Donovan Wilson with the consolation for Grimsby. MK Dons travelled to the Mazuma, is what I think it's still called, the home of Morecambe, and got a 3-1 victory. Goals from Tomlinson, Scott Hogan, remember him, bit of a name from the past, and Liam Kelly got the 3 points for the Dons with a consolation from Jamie Stott. Just the one goal between Notts County and Wimbledon, that's scored by centre-back Matt Platt. Port Vale continued their pretty good start to the campaign. They played Fleetwood. Rico Richards with the opening goal, then Ryan Crowsdale and Ronan Curtis with the Fleetwood goal coming from Carl Johnston. And finally, Doncaster travelled to Swindon Town, the county ground, and came away with a hard-fought 2-1 victory. Goals from Doncaster from Joseph Oluo and Joe Ironside, with a Harry Smith goal in between. And that takes us to the end of this show. Now, if you've enjoyed the show, do not forget to leave a like, comment, share, and subscribe. We absolutely love doing this, and we would love to share to get the thoughts of you guys in the comments. So yeah, leave a comment if you could. That would be great. And yeah, all that's left for me to say now is thank you to our two panelists. Firstly, the man whose channel this is on, Mr. TubeMix. Always a pleasure, mate.
Thank you. Yep, it's been a good one, and see you next time.
Yeah, despite the fact that you told me earlier off camera that the 2 yellows that Saliba received should have been turned into a red, even though if he got 2 yellows, there wouldn't have needed to have been a red because 2 yellows is a red.
Yeah.
Also, of course, it would be remiss of me to not mention the fantastic Mr. Ben Carney. Always an absolute joy to be with you, mate.
Thank you, George. You haven't stitched me up like I did, so thank you. I'll see you on the next one.
That's quite all right. And next week, exclusive, hopefully, the return of one Sam Taylor. I'll leave you with that thought. Until then, don't forget to subscribe, as I said, and join us in the next episode. And that will all be without having kicked a ball. Thank you very much.